I was deep inside the guts of server rack 4, inhaling the comforting scent of ozone and dust bunnies when the summons came. It wasn't an email. It was a nervous intern named Gary, shaking like a chihuahua passing a kidney stone, telling me that Mr. Tyler wanted to see me in the fishbowl. That's what we call the glass-walled conference room where careers go to die. I wiped the thermal paste off my hands onto my jeans, because screw the dress code. I'm the one keeping the lights on, and headed upstairs. Now, before I tell you how I turned a Fortune 500 company into a brick in less than 2 hours, do me a favor. If you like watching rich kids get reality checked by the working class, hit that subscribe button and smash the like. It helps the algorithm almost as much as scotch helps my patience. Thanks. Anyway, back to the execution. I walked into the fishbowl. The air conditioning was set to meat locker, probably to keep the reptilian executives from overheating. Sitting in the CEO's chair, my boss's chair, was his son, Tyler. Tyler looks like he was 3D printed by a committee of frat boys who think entrepreneur is a personality trait. He's got that haircut that costs $300 to look like he just woke up, and teeth so white they threaten to blind pilots mid-flight. Next to him was a guy I'd never seen before, wearing a hoodie that probably cost more than my car, tapping away on a tablet like he was hacking the Pentagon. Spoiler alert, he was probably playing Candy Crush. "Rebecca," Tyler said, not looking up from his phone. "Thanks for coming up. Take a seat." I didn't sit. I've been working at this company since Tyler was struggling with the concept of potty training. I've survived 3 mergers, a ransomware attack by a Russian syndicate, and the great coffee machine explosion of 2018. I don't sit for junior varsities. What's up, Tyler? The network is green, the backups are verified, and unless you're about to tell me the building is on fire, I have a migration to finish. Tyler finally looked up. He gave me that pitying smile, the kind you give a dog right before you drive it to the farm upstate. "Yeah, about that. We're making some changes. Strategic pivots. We're moving to a cloud-native, synergy-focused infrastructure." I blinked. "Tyler, those are buzzwords. They don't mean anything. Our infrastructure is already hybrid cloud. I built it." "Right," he said, waving his hand dismissively. "But it's clunky, old school like you. We need fresh eyes. This is Braden." He gestured to Hoodie Guy. "Braden is a visionary. He's going to be taking over as CTO effective immediately." The silence that followed was loud enough to break glass. "CTO, Tyler. I'm the systems coordinator. I report to the CEO. Your dad, where is he?" "Dad's on a flight to Tokyo. He put me in charge of operations while he's gone, and my first operation is trimming the fat." "You're out, Rebecca." It hit me like a physical blow to the gut. 10 years. 10 years of 3 a.m. alarms, of missing birthdays because a database corrupted, of babysitting servers that were older than the interns. And I was being replaced by a guy named Braden who looked like he vaped custard-flavored poison. "You're firing me," I said, my voice dangerously low. "For him? We're letting you go," Tyler corrected, flashing a smile that was all veneers and no soul. "Severance is standard, but we need your keycard and your admin credentials. Now." Braden finally spoke up. "Yeah, if you could just write down the root passwords on a sticky note, that'd be chill." A sticky note. He wanted the keys to a global logistics infrastructure on a sticky note. The rage started in my toes. It burned hot and fast, scorching its way up my spine. But on the surface, ice. I let out a breath that smelled like stale office coffee and the Marlboro I'd smoked in the parking lot an hour ago. "Okay," I said. Tyler looked surprised. "Okay, sure, you want the keys, you got 'em." I pulled out my phone. I opened the admin app, the one I wrote myself because the vendor software was garbage. I tapped logout. Then I looked Tyler dead in the eye. "I'm logging out of the master control console, but you should know something before I walk out that door." Tyler rolled his eyes. "Make it quick, Rebecca. We have a synergy meeting." "The system," I said, my voice steady as a flatline, "is built on a dead man's switch. It requires a biometric handshake, my thumbprint, every 120 minutes to verify system integrity. It's a failsafe I installed after the 21 breach. Your dad authorized it." Tyler laughed. It was a wet, ugly sound. "A biometric handshake? What is this, a Mission Impossible movie? Get real." "It's not a movie, Tyler. It's a compliance requirement. Without my scan, the validation protocols will fail. When they fail, the system assumes a hostile takeover. It locks down everything. We'll just bypass it," Braden said, not looking up from his tablet. "I know Python. You know Python?" I almost laughed. "Kid, this system is written in a mix of legacy COBOL and Spite. Python won't save you. You have exactly 2 hours before the servers go dark. And when I say dark, I don't mean the lights go out. I mean the databases encrypt themselves, the vendor APIs sever connection, and the warehouse robots freeze in place." Tyler stood up, trying to loom over me. "You failed? You're bluffing. You're just trying to scare us so we keep you on the payroll. Hand over the laptop and get out. Security will escort you." I placed my company laptop gently on the table. I set my badge on top of it. I looked at the clock on the wall. 10 o'clock a.m. exactly. "Tick-tock, Tyler," I said. "You've got until noon. Good luck with the synergy." I turned on my heel and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't scream. I just walked. But in my head, I was lighting a match and tossing it over my shoulder. The fuse was lit. Now, I just had to wait for the boom. The walk to the elevator felt like a funeral procession of one. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, a sound I usually tuned out, but today it sounded like a choir of dying flies. People nodded at me as I passed the cubicle farms. Karen from accounting waved. She didn't know. Nobody knew yet that the captain had just been thrown overboard, and the ship was being steered by a couple of toddlers on a sugar high. I stepped into the elevator and pressed G. As the doors slid shut, cutting off the view of the office I'd practically lived in for a decade, I felt a strange sensation in my chest. It wasn't panic. It was lightness. The weight of the servers, the constant low-level anxiety about uptime, the 24/7 on-call status, it was gone. I walked out into the parking lot. The sky was that flat, non-committal gray it loves so much. I leaned against my truck, a beat-up Ford F-150 that had seen more mileage than a politician's promise, and fumbled for my pack. I lit a cigarette. The smoke hit my lungs like an old friend. I inhaled deep, holding it until my vision swam a little, then exhaled a plume of gray into the gray air. 2 hours, I whispered to the asphalt. Upstairs, in the climate-controlled fishbowl, I knew exactly what was happening. Tyler was probably high-fiving Braden. They were probably talking about how easy it was to clear out the dead wood. She's just bitter, Tyler would say, spinning in the CEO's chair. Biometric handshake, please. Who does she think she is? The Pentagon? Braden would be inspecting my laptop. Dude, this thing is a brick. It's a ThinkPad from like 4 years ago. How did she even work on this? I'm gonna order us some MacBook Pros. We need the Retina displays for the dashboard. Do it, Tyler would say. Company card, we're upgrading everything. They wouldn't even try to log in for another 20 minutes. They'd be too busy planning their office decor or ordering craft kombucha for the break room. But the system doesn't care about kombucha. The system is a cold, mathematical beast. At 10:15 a.m., the first scheduled task would attempt to run. It's a simple script, a heartbeat check that pings the external vendor gateways just to say, hey, we're still here. I imagine the code executing. Line 402, check auth token. Line 403, verify biometric timestamp. The timestamp would be old. The system would frown, metaphorically speaking. It wouldn't panic yet. It would flag a soft warning. A little yellow light on the main dashboard. But Tyler and Braden weren't looking at the main dashboard. They were probably looking at sneaker drops on StockX. I finished my cigarette and ground the butt into the pavement with the heel of my boot. I wasn't going home, not yet. I had a front row seat to the apocalypse, and I wasn't going to miss the opening act. There's a dive bar across the street called the Library. It smells like sawdust and regrets. Perfect. I walked in, ordered a whiskey neat, and set my personal phone on the bar. I have a secondary notification system set up, a shadow relay that pings my personal device whenever the main server throws a critical error. I built it so I could know about fires before the help desk even picked up the phone. I hadn't disconnected it. Why would I? It was about to be the best entertainment in town. At 10:45 a.m., my phone buzzed. Notification: user admin failed login attempt. IP address: internal exec suite. I smirked into my glass. We're trying to get in. Hey, Braden would be saying, tapping at the keyboard with his sticky fingers. Tyler, it's not letting me in. It says access denied, guarantor key missing. Try password 123, Tyler would suggest, because he's an idiot. I tried that. I tried admin. I tried root. It's locked, dude. Call IT support, Tyler would snap. Tell them to reset the password. I took a sip of whiskey. The burn was pleasant. IT support was Dave. Dave is a good kid, but I trained him to never, ever touch the root directory without my written sign-off. My phone buzzed again. Notification, ticket hash 9942 created. Subject, can't log in, fix now. Priority low, priority low. Dave knew. Dave knew that if the request came from Tyler and didn't copy me, it went to the bottom of the pile. Her key, I muttered to the bartender, who was wiping a glass with a rag that looked dirtier than the glass. I think they don't need the key. Rough day? The bartender asked. Best day of my life, I said. Hit me again. The countdown was at 90 minutes. The heartbeat check had failed. The system was now moving from curious to suspicious. Next stop, paranoid, and trust me, you don't want a multi-million-dollar logistics network to get paranoid. It starts shutting doors you didn't even know were open. The whiskey was settling in, warming the cold knot of anger in my stomach. The bar was empty except for me and a guy in the corner playing a slot machine that sounded like a depressed carnival. My phone buzzed. 11:10 a.m. Notification, system alert, load balancing failure, node 4 unresponsive. Here we go. See, the way I built the infrastructure is like a house of cards, but glued together with very specific, very neurotic logic. Load balancer distributes traffic between our servers in Virginia and the backup site in Ireland. Every hour, it asks for permission to rotate the encryption keys. If it doesn't get the biometric handshake, it assumes the connection is compromised. It doesn't just stop, it protects itself. It starts cutting bridges. In the office, the lights would still be on. The coffee machine would still be working. But on the monitors in the logistics department, screens were starting to freeze. I could picture Sarah in dispatch. She's been there 20 years. She types with 2 fingers, but she can route a fleet of trucks across a blizzard with her eyes closed. She'd be hitting refresh right now. Why is the tracking spinning? She'd yell over the cubicle wall. Mine too, Mike from inventory would answer. I can't pull the manifest for the Chicago shipment. It says, awaiting guarantor verification, up in the fishbowl. Tyler and Braden were probably starting to sweat, just a little, a light sheen on the forehead. My phone buzzed again, a text message. From Dave in IT. Dave, hey boss, strange request from the prince. He's screaming about passwords, says you quit? Please tell me that's a joke. Also, dashboard is flashing yellow. What's going on? I didn't reply, not yet. Let them marinate. 10 minutes later. 11:20 a.m. The text wasn't from Dave this time. It was from an unknown number, but I knew who it was. Unknown, hey Rebecca, it's Tyler. Hope no hard feelings. Listen, quick question. Braden is having a little trouble syncing his credentials. Does the system really need your scan, or is there like a master code? Just need to push a small update. Thanks. Quick question. Small update. The language of the incompetent. I stared at the screen. I could hear his voice, that condescending, breezy tone that assumed the world existed to serve him. He thought this was a glitch. He thought I had put a password on a Word document. He didn't understand that he was sitting inside a submarine and he had just opened the screen door. I typed back, me, not a code, it's biometric. 40 minutes left, Tyler. I put the phone down. 11:30 a.m. The notifications on my Shadow app were coming in faster now, scrolling up the screen like the Matrix code. Critical database lock initiated. Critical API gateway timeout. Warning, external vendor FedEx connection severed. Warning, external vendor UPS connection severed. That was the big one. We're a logistics company. If we can't talk to the shippers, we aren't moving boxes. We're just a warehouse full of expensive junk. I closed my eyes and imagined the sound on the floor. The phones would be ringing now. Customers asking where their tracking numbers were. Drivers calling in from the road because their tablets had gone dead. The hum of the servers in the basement would be changing pitch, the fans spinning up to max speed as the processors tried to resolve the deadlock, getting hotter and hotter, screaming into the void for a key that wasn't there. My phone rang. It was Tyler. I let it ring. It rang again and again. I picked up on the fourth try. Hello? I sounded bored. I sounded like I was browsing Netflix for a documentary about cheese. Rebecca, Tyler's voice was an octave higher than usual. Pick up the damn phone. Why is the shipping module down? We're losing $40,000 a minute. I told you, Tyler, dead man's switch. The system thinks the cockpit is empty. It's putting the plane in the ocean to keep it from being hijacked. Fix it. Give me the code. I can't give you a fingerprint over the phone, genius. Unless you want me to fax you my thumb? This is sabotage. He screamed. I'll sue you. I'll have you arrested for cyber terrorism. I didn't do anything, Tyler. That's the point. I'm doing exactly what you told me to do. I'm gone. The system is working exactly as designed. It's verifying that the authorized administrator is present. You fired the authorized administrator. This is on you. Braden says he can bypass it. He's in the command shell right now. I laughed. A genuine belly laugh. Braden is in the command shell, Tyler. Tell Braden that if he tries to force a mount on the encrypted drive without the key, the system activates the scorched earth protocol. It deletes the encryption headers. Data turns to noise. Forever. There was a muffled conversation on the other end. I heard Braden's voice sounding panicked. Wait, she said, scorched earth, dude, stop typing. Stop typing. You're bluffing, Tyler said, but his voice was shaking. Try me. You have 25 minutes, I hung up. The bartender poured me another shot without me asking. Sounded intense, he said. Just walking a guy through a reboot, I said, swirling the amber liquid. He's having trouble with the on switch. The bar was starting to fill up with the lunch rush, mostly guys from the nearby construction site, dust on their boots, exhaustion in their eyes. My people. I blended right in, except my exhaustion was existential, and my dust was metaphorical. My phone was now vibrating so constantly, it felt like an angry hornet on the bar top. 11:40 a.m. The internal chat threads were leaking. I'm still in the WhatsApp group for the night shift survivors, a group chat created 5 years ago during a blizzard when we were stuck in the office for 3 days. Sarah, dispatch. Anyone seen Rebecca? Tyler is running around the floor screaming at the servers. Literally screaming at the metal boxes. Ike inventory. Dave from IT says she got fired. Is that true? If she's gone, who the hell knows how to fix the legacy bridge? Dave IT, I'm hiding in the server closet. Braden just asked me what a Linux is. We're doomed. Lol, I smiled. They weren't panicking about the job, they were panicking about the incompetence. There's a difference. I knew Tyler's next move. When the toddler breaks the vase, he runs to Daddy. Tyler would be frantically dialing the CEO's private number. Dad, you gotta pick up. The computer is doing the thing, the lady broke it. But here's the beautiful part. The CEO, let's call him Mr. Sterling, is a man of habits. When he flies international, he flies disconnected. He calls it his Zen time. No Wi-Fi, no satellite phone unless the plane is crashing. He drinks aged scotch, reads spy novels, and sleeps. He was currently somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, cruising at 35,000 feet, blissfully unaware that his son was lighting his legacy on fire. 11:45 a.m. Tyler called me again. I ignored it, then a new number called. This is Rebecca, I answered, crunching on a pretzel. Miss Vance, this is Jonathan from OmniCorp Support, the external contractor. Hey, Jonathan, long time. How's the wife? She's good, Rebecca. Look, we just got a P1 emergency ticket from a guy named Tyler. He's demanding we remote in and disable the biometric lock on your core server. He says he's the acting CEO. He is, I said, technically. Okay, well, he's screaming. But here's the thing, I'm looking at the documentation you filed in 2021. The Guarantor Protocol. It says explicitly that any attempt to override the biometric lock remotely is a violation of the Federal Data Privacy Agreement we signed with the healthcare clients. If we force this, we trigger an audit, a federal audit. I took a slow sip of whiskey. That sounds accurate, Jonathan. Section 12A, paragraph 3? Right, so I can't do it. I literally cannot do it without losing my license and probably going to jail. I tried to explain this to him. He told me I was fired too. Sounds like him. Rebecca, what do you want me to do? The system is cascading. We're seeing packet loss in the 80% range. The warehouses are going dark. The robots have stopped moving. Do nothing, Jonathan. Follow the protocol. If you intervene, you're liable. Let it ride. He's threatening to sue OmniCorp. Let him. He can't sue you for following the compliance laws his father signed. Just document everything. Record the calls. Already doing it. Good luck, Rebecca. You're a stone-cold killer, you know that? I'm just a tech for data, Jonathan. Just fixing the flow. I hung up. 11:50 a.m., 10 minutes. The complication for Tyler wasn't just the tech. It was the web of legal and bureaucratic armor I had built around that tech. He thought he was fighting a computer program. He didn't realize he was fighting the entire US legal code regarding data privacy. I had built that wall not to keep hackers out, but to keep idiots like him from getting in. I knew deep down that one day Mr. Sterling would retire and this haircut in a suit would take over. I had prepared for this day for years. The text came through from Dave again. Dave, Tyler is crying, like actual tears. He's in the fishbowl, banging on the glass. Braden is sitting on the floor with his head in his hands. The lights in the hallway just flickered. Is that normal? Load shedding. The system is cutting power to non-essential circuits to preserve the core memory. Tell everyone to save their work locally. The network drives are about to vanish. Dave, you're scary. I love you. I wasn't scary. I was just thorough. The bartender looked at me. You waiting for someone? Yeah, I said, checking my watch. I'm waiting for an apology. 11:55 a.m. 5 minutes to midnight, or noon technically, but it felt like midnight. My phone rang. Was Tyler again? I let it ring 3 times. 4. On the 5th ring, I slid the green icon. Rebecca, his voice was different now. Gone was the arrogant boardroom bark. Gone was the shrill panic. This was the voice of a man looking over the edge of a cliff and realizing he forgot his parachute. It was quiet, defeated. Hey, Tyler. Found that sticky note yet? Please, he said. Please, Rebecca. Stop it. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry I fired you. Just come back. Come back and fix it. We can talk about a contract. Consultant basis. Consultant basis, I repeated, tasting the words. They tasted like cheap ash. You fire me after a decade, humiliate me in front of a guy who wears a hoodie to a board meeting, and now you want to hire me back as a consultant? I can't restart the system, Rebecca. The contractors won't touch it. They're citing some legal thing. It's not some legal thing, Tyler. It's the law. Go to my desk. Is my laptop still there? Yes, he sniffled. It's right here. Open it. It's locked, but you can access the public read-only folder from the guest account. Do it. I heard him fumbling. Okay, I'm in guest account. Go to the folder marked Doomsday. Yes, I actually named it that. Open the PDF titled Compliance Protocols 2023. I see it. It's 300 pages. Go to page 42. Section 12A. Read the highlighted paragraph. Aloud, I heard the silence of him scrolling. Then, a shaky breath. In the event of a system-wide reset or administrative change, he read, his voice trembling, the primary system guarantor, that's you, must be physically present to authenticate the chain of custody. Failure to provide biometric verification constitutes a breach of the Federal Data Protection Act, Level 4. Keep reading, Tyler. The bold text. Any attempt to bypass, circumvent, or spoof this authentication will result in an automatic notification to the Department of Homeland Security, Cyber Division, and an immediate freeze of all company assets pending federal audit. Silence. Long, heavy, terrified silence. You rigged the system to call the feds? I didn't rig it, Tyler. I secured it. We handle medical logistics. We move sensitive data. That protocol protects us from Russian hackers, and apparently protects the company from you. If Braden tries to force it, then you aren't just bankrupt, I said, leaning back on the bar stool. You're a felon, you'll be trading that Italian suit for an orange jumpsuit. And let me tell you, orange isn't your color. What do I do? He whispered. It was a plea. A child asking how to fix the lamp he broke. You can't do anything, I said. You have less than 2 minutes. If I'm not there to scan my thumb. System assumes you are a hostile actor. It shuts down, the databases lock, the keys are deleted, the company goes dark, and then the automatic report goes to Washington. Come back, he begged, name your price, anything, double your salary, triple it. I looked at the clock on the wall. 11:58 a.m., it's an 8-minute drive from the bar to the office, Tyler. Even if I left right now, I wouldn't make it. No, don't say that. You wanted to trim the fat. I said coldly. Well, you cut the heart out instead. Hope you know CPR. Rebecca, wait, I hung up. 11:59 a.m. I watched the second hand on the analog clock above the bar. Tick, tick, tick. At noon exactly, the lights in the bar didn't flicker. The world didn't end. But on my phone screen, the waterfall of notifications stopped. It just froze. And then a single, final notification appeared. Red text on a black background. System status, lockdown initiated. Assets frozen. Report filed. Boom, I whispered. I signaled the bartender. I'll close my tab but keep the bottle out. I have a feeling I'm going to have company soon. The thing about a building controlled by a central server is that you forget how much is actually controlled by the central server. It's not just email. It's the electronic door locks. It's the badge readers. It's the smart glass tinting on the windows. When the lockdown hit at noon, the smart building became a stupid prison. According to the play-by-play I was getting from Dave, who was now live streaming audio to the WhatsApp group, the office had turned into a scene from a disaster movie minus the zombies. Dave voice note, dude, the blinds just slammed shut, all of them at once. It's pitch black in here except for the emergency exit signs, and the AC just shut off. It's getting quiet, too quiet. Oh wait, Tyler is screaming again. I sat in the bar, sipping water now. I needed to be sharp for the finale. Back at the office, the reality of the freeze was setting in. The warehouse robots, those little orange automated units that scurry around the floor picking boxes, had all stopped. Dead, in the middle of the aisles. A frantic manager from the warehouse floor called the fishbowl line. Tyler, the bots are dead. We have trucks at the dock waiting to load and we can't move the pallets. The inventory system is showing a skull and crossbones. Okay, I didn't program a skull and crossbones. That was dramatic license by the manager. But the default error screen is a stark black box that says fatal exception. Pretty close, then came the defection. Braden, the visionary, realized that this wasn't a coding challenge. This was a career-ending event. Dave narrated the scene via text. Braden just stood up. He threw the tablet on the table. He's yelling at Tyler. I didn't sign up for this. You said it was a simple reorg. I'm not going to jail for your dad's company. I could visualize it perfectly. The hoodie adjusting. The frantic packing of the backpack. Braden is running. He's actually running to the stairs. He tried the elevator, but it's locked out. Ha 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 ha. He has to walk down 12 flights. Tyler was alone in the dark. A glass room that was rapidly heating up because the HVAC was offline, controlled by the BMS, which was linked to the core server, which I controlled. My phone buzzed. It wasn't Tyler. It was a notification from flight tracking software. I had an alert set for Mr. Sterling's tail number. Status change, flight 808, diverted, I tapped the details. Reason, medical emergency on board? No. Reason, passenger request / priority landing. The old man had internet again. Maybe the plane dipped low enough, or maybe he finally paid for the insanely expensive Wi-Fi. Either way, he knew, you can't hide a forest fire when the smoke is visible from space. My phone rang. It was a number I hadn't seen in years, a personal number. Rebecca, the voice was gravel and steel. Mr. Sterling, hello, sir. Enjoying the flight? Cut the crap, Vance. I'm looking at a dashboard that tells me my company has ceased to exist. I'm looking at a notification from the DHS asking if we've been compromised by a foreign state. And I have 40 missed calls from my son. Sounds stressful, sir. Tyler says you went rogue. He says you hacked the system and are holding it for ransom. Tyler lies, sir. You know that. I didn't hack anything. I was terminated. I was asked to leave the premises. I logged out as per security protocol. The system is simply waiting for the authorized guarantor to log back in. That's not a hack. That's the lock on the front door working exactly as you paid for it to work. There was a long pause on the line, the sound of jet engines humming in the background. He fired you? Yes, replaced me with a kid named Braden who thinks Python is a snake, and you let the system crash. I didn't let it crash, sir. I honored the chain of command. You put Tyler in charge. Tyler put me on the street. The system followed the logic. He grunted. It was a sound of reluctant respect. I'm landing in 40 minutes. The pilot is pushing the engines to the red line. Get your ass back to the office, Rebecca. I don't work there anymore, sir. I was fired. Remember, Rebecca? I'm enjoying my unemployment. The beer is cold. Rebecca, don't play poker with me. I taught you how to bluff, and I learned from the best, but I'm not bluffing. If you want me to fix this, it's not going to be as an employee. And it's not going to be cheap. We'll talk when I get there. Meet me in the lobby. 40 minutes. I might be busy. Vance, he barked. Get to the damn office. The line went dead. I smiled. The leverage wasn't just back, it was multiplying. I paid my tab. Keep the change, I told the bartender. I have to go rescue a kitten from a tree. A very expensive, very stupid kitten. I walked out to my truck. The sun was trying to peek through the gray clouds. It felt good. The drive back was slow. I obeyed every speed limit. I stopped at every yellow light, let them sweat. Let the silence of the dead warehouse sink into the walls. When I pulled into the parking lot, it was chaos. Logistics trucks were backed up onto the main road, honking. Drivers were standing around smoking, looking confused. The building itself looked dark, lifeless. I parked in my usual spot. I didn't go in. I leaned against the hood of my truck, crossed my arms, and waited. The king was coming home, and the prince was about to get dethroned. A black town car screeched into the lot, bypassing the line of idling trucks by hopping the curb, classic Sterling. He drives like he negotiates, aggressively and without regard for obstacles. The car stopped right in front of the main entrance. The door flew open and Mr. Sterling stepped out. He's 65, built like a retired linebacker with silver hair and a face that looks like it was carved out of granite. He was wearing a travel tracksuit, velour, expensive, which somehow made him look more terrifying than a suit would have. He spotted me leaning against my truck. He didn't wave. He just jerked his head toward the door. Follow. I took my time walking over. We entered the lobby together. It was dim. The emergency lights cast long, eerie shadows. The receptionist was gone. Security guards were standing around looking nervous. Mr. Sterling? The head of security gasped. Sir, nothing works. The turnstiles are locked. Sterling didn't answer. He walked up to the turnstile, grabbed the metal bar, and kicked the mechanism so hard something snapped. The bar spun freely. It works now, he growled. We took the stairs, 12 flights. Sterling took them 2 at a time, fueled by pure, unadulterated rage. I kept pace, my cardio fueled by spite. When we reached the executive floor, the silence was heavy. The glass walls of the fishbowl were fogged up from the heat. Inside, Tyler was sitting at the head of the table, his head on the mahogany surface, surrounded by empty water bottles and the debris of his failure. Sterling threw the door open. It slammed against the glass wall with a sound like a gunshot. Tyler jumped a foot in the air. Dad, thank God, you're here. It's a disaster. Rebecca sabotaged us. Sterling walked over to the table. He didn't look at me, he looked at his son. Sabotage? Sterling asked, his voice deceptively calm. Yes, she put a bomb in the code. She locked us out. I see. Sterling picked up my laptop, which was still sitting where I left it. And why did she do that? Because we were making changes, strategic shifts, and she got defensive. I fired her, I said from the doorway. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the room. Tyler fired me. At 10 o'clock a.m. for being old school. Sterling turned to Tyler. You fired the system's guarantor. While I was over the ocean? While we have 3 major contracts pending renewal? She's dead weight, Dad, Braden said. Braden? Sterling looked around. Where is this, Braden? He had to leave. Family emergency. He ran, I clarified. He realized he couldn't hack a mainframe with a tablet and he ran away before the feds showed up. Sterling looked back at Tyler. Disappointment in his eyes was worse than anger. It was total. Tyler, Sterling said. Do you know why Rebecca is the guarantor? Do you know why I pay her more than the VP of sales? She's just IT, Dad. We can hire 10 guys in India to do her job. No, Sterling roared. The sound echoed off the glass. We cannot, because Rebecca built the architecture that allows us to bypass customs preclearance. She wrote the code that integrates with the FDA database. She's the only reason we are not just a trucking company, but a secure logistics partner. He slammed his hand on the table. You didn't just fire an employee. You unplugged the life support machine because you wanted to charge your phone. Tyler shrank back into his chair. He looked very small. Sterling turned to me. Fix it. I didn't move. I can't, sir. I'm not an employee. Access is restricted to authorized personnel. Sterling stared at me. He knew this game. Rehire her, Tyler? What? Tyler squeaked. Rehire her, now. Apologize and rehire her. Tyler looked at me. His face was red, blotchy, and wet. Rebecca, I'm rehiring you. Sorry, I said. I'm not interested in my old position. The culture here seems a bit toxic. Sterling let out a short, sharp laugh. All right, Vance, you win. What do you want? Full autonomy, I said. No oversight from operations. No oversight from him. I pointed at Tyler. 5-year contract guaranteed and a 20% raise. Retroactive to the beginning of the fiscal year. Done, Sterling said immediately. And I want his office, I said, pointing to the corner office Tyler had occupied. The one with the view. The fishbowl is too hot. Sterling looked at his son. Get your stuff, Tyler. Dad, get your stuff. Tyler stood up, trembling. He grabbed his jacket. He didn't look at me. He shuffled out of the room like a beaten dog. Sterling looked at me. Are we good? We're good. Then, for the love of God, turn the lights back on. The walk from the fishbowl to the server room wasn't just a walk, it was a coronation. Sterling stayed upstairs to clean up the mess with the legal department and probably to yell at Tyler some more in private. I took the stairs down to the basement levels. As I passed the IT bullpen, heads popped up like prairie dogs. Dave was there, looking pale. When he saw me, his face broke into a grin that threatened to split his head open. She returns, he shouted. A cheer went up. Actual applause, people were clapping. The accountants, the dispatchers who had wandered down, the janitors, they all knew who actually ran this place. Status, Dave? I asked, not stopping my stride. Dave fell in step beside me. Bad. Core temp is critical. The automatic shutdown saved the hardware, but the software is in a coma. We have corruption in the index tables, and the biometric lock is in hard lock mode. It won't even accept a scan unless it's from the console. Of course it is, I said. I wrote it that way. We reached the heavy steel door of the server room. It was locked, obviously. The keypad was dark. It's dead, Dave said. We might have to drill the lock. Drill the lock? I scoffed. Dave, look under the fake fire extinguisher box. He looked. A key? A physical key? Analog backups, Dave. Always have an analog backup. I took the key, slid it into the cylinder, and turned. The heavy tumblers clicked, a sound more satisfying than any symphony. I pushed the door open. The rush of air hit me. It was hot. The AC had been off for over an hour. The room smelled of hot plastic and stressed silicon. The servers were humming loudly, their fans screaming at max RPM to fight the heat. The status lights, usually a calming blink of green, were solid amber or flashing red. It looked like the cockpit of a crashing spaceship. I walked to the main console. My chair, my battered, ergonomic mesh chair, was exactly where I left it. I sat down. The mesh felt like a hug. Okay, I said to the room. Mama's home. Dave stood behind me, hovering. What do we do? Do we need to reboot the whole stack? No, I said, cracking my knuckles. If we reboot now, we lose the cache. We need to perform a live resuscitation. I woke up the monitor. The screen was black with a single red prompt, identity verification required. System lockdown in progress. Remaining time until data purge, 000130. Whoa, Dave whispered. 1 minute 30? We were that close? Scorched earth, I said. I wasn't kidding. You were going to wipe the company. I was going to protect the data, I corrected, from unauthorized users. If Tyler had tried one more password guess, it would have happened 10 minutes ago. I looked at the fingerprint scanner. It was a small, glowing glass square. My hand hovered over it. For a second, just a split second, I hesitated. I thought about the disrespect. I thought about Tyler's white teeth and his synergy. I thought about how tired I was. I could just let it expire. Let the clock run out, walk away. Watch the whole thing burn down to the ground. I had the money, I could retire. But then I looked at the server racks. I built this, I wired these racks. I optimized these databases. This wasn't Tyler's company, it was my machine, and you don't let your machine die just because the owner is an idiot. Ready? Dave asked. Always, I said. I pressed my thumb against the glass. The scanner flashed green, a harsh, bright light in the dim room. The screen flickered, the red text vanished. Biometric match confirmed. Welcome, Administrator Vance, canceling purge protocol, restoring systems. Started as a low rumble. The sound of the AC units kicking back on. The rush of cool air flooding the room. Then the lights on the server racks. One by one, they turned from angry red to amber. Then a cascade of green. It rippled down the rows like a wave in a stadium. Database mounted. API gateways connected. External vendor links restored. My phone buzzed. Notification, FedEx connection active. Notification, UPS connection active. We're green, Dave shouted, actually pumping his fist. We are green across the board. I typed in a few commands, smoothing out the load spikes, redistributing the traffic so the sudden influx wouldn't crash the gateways again. My fingers flew across the mechanical keyboard. Click, clack, click, clack. The heartbeat of the company. Upstairs, the lights would be coming on. The warehouse robots would be waking up, blinking their sensors and going back to work. The dispatch screens would refresh. Sarah would be yelling at Mike. The world would start turning again. I leaned back in my chair and exhaled. Good job, Dave. Go tell the floor we're operational. Tell them to clear the backlog. You got it, boss. He ran out of the room. I was alone again. I pulled up the security camera feed on my second monitor. I cycled through the cameras until I found the lobby. I saw Tyler. He was walking out the front door, carrying a cardboard box. He looked smaller than I remembered. He stopped at the curb, looking for a ride. His black car was gone. Sterling had probably taken the keys. He pulled out his phone, probably to call an Uber. I watched him for a minute. Synergy, I whispered. Then I switched the camera feed to the executive office, my new office. Sterling was standing there, looking out the window. He turned and looked directly into the security camera. He knew I was watching. He gave a curt nod. I nodded back, even though he couldn't see me. I opened my drawer, the one I had locked before I left. Inside was a bottle of decent bourbon and a bag of beef jerky, my emergency stash. I poured a splash into my world's okayest system admin mug. I took a sip. The system hummed around me. The fans were quieting down now, settling into their steady, rhythmic drone. It was the sound of money moving, the sound of logic, the sound of order restored. I wasn't just an IT lady. I was the ghost in the machine, and today the ghost one. I picked up my phone and typed one final message to the group chat. Me, system clear. Don't touch my settings again. See you all tomorrow. I put my feet up on the desk, lit a theoretical cigarette because the halon gas system is sensitive, sadly, and watched the green lights blink. We're all healed, especially my bank account. Big thanks for watching, you sneaky seniors. Subscribe to keep the coffee pot brewing revenge. Your ex-colleagues won't know what hit him.